Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a really interesting question. And let's talk about that for a little bit. The thing that people always come up with are these weird ideas that they want to find some sort of replacement for TRT. And assuming when they say TRT, I assume they mean people who legitimately need TRT, not people who are just wanting to go on a little bit of testosterone. People who actually have been diagnosed with low testosterone and they want something to boost it back up. Now, what we need to understand is that TRT, there is no debate anymore. I'll even link my previous video on this. We've done long-term, large-scale studies, and men who qualify for TRT, who actually need it, who go on testosterone replacement therapy, they simply live longer. They have lower rates of mortality. They have much lower rates of strokes, heart attacks. They have lower rates of obesity, lower rates of diabetes, cardiovascular disease for the most part. Everything improves. Having low testosterone as a man, even if that's your natural state because you're getting older, reduces quality of life, it reduces health, and you can die sooner from it. It increases your risk of many, many diseases. So this idea that there's anything unhealthy about testosterone, the data is emerging showing that actually people who legitimately need this type of medical treatment or who qualify for it are going to live longer and be healthier if they get it. So looking for replacements seems kind of silly, and a lot of people be like, well, I do it because of whatever I compete in or something. It's like, well, you want to die sooner because you compete in some amateur sport of some type? That's the question I would ask people who say, well, I want to compete in drug-tested powerlifting and I need TRT, or I want to compete in amateur natural bodybuilding and I don't want to fail the drug test due to my prescription. Well, the thing I would point out to you is if you're willing to die sooner or have higher rates of heart attack and stroke and everything else for this amateur competitive endeavor, have at it. But it seems silly to me when you actually medically need the other and you could just compete in the untested in these things. This isn't your profession. It's not a big deal. It's a hobby for you. So weigh those things out a little more carefully. And if that's what you decide you want to do, that's your business. But looking for a replacement for that reason, for an actual medical treatment you need because you're scared it's going to affect a drug test in an amateur competitive endeavor, again, you should probably reassess your values at that point. So from a health perspective, we really shouldn't be looking for an alternative to a life-saving and life-improving easy form of therapy to get these days. So again, if you qualify for it, go talk to your medical doctor. Now, the other thing that we have to weigh out and look at is that this person in particular is wanting to try to use Clomid. First of all, any use of Clomid for boosting testosterone is going to be, for any medical purpose, very short-lived. And you're going to find that it's less effective than actual testosterone is. The other thing is going to be the health risk and the side effects from it. First of all, Clomid, in some people, one of the risks is that it can cause permanent loss of eyesight. And a number of people who use it and staying on it really, really long term puts you at an unacceptable risk for that when, again, you have better alternatives like testosterone. But the other biggest thing is going to be the emotional and psychological side effects. Anyone who's ever used Clomid for PCT, all these bodybuilders out there who've done that will tell you there's a problem with Clomid. And you need to look at the nature of this substance and what it actually is medically. Clomid is a SERM, it's a selective estrogen receptor modulator. Now you need to realize that all SERMs are not the same, because what that means is that in some tissues in the body, this substance acts like estrogen, and in other parts of the body, it blocks the estrogen receptor. It's similar to something called tamoxifen, also known as Nolvadex, but they actually affect the different tissues differently. Clomid acts in the brain like estrogen, and the standard therapeutic dose for Clomid, even prescribed, is going to be a 50 milligram tablet every day. It's basically 50 milligrams of estrogen hitting your brain. That is literally, for most men, 30 to 50 times the amount of estrogen a man would normally have in their body that's circulating around as far as your brain is concerned. When you take Clomid, you actually get the effects in your body as if you were taking an ultra high dose of estrogen in terms of your mental effects. And what that does is that it makes you very emotional, it makes you very sensitive, and I don't mean that as an exaggeration. There's a reason they joke and call something the Clomid blues. This substance, when men take it, particularly for PCT therapy, and this is what you're actually doing if you're trying to use it to replace TRT, and again, this is not a legitimate therapeutic use, and I mean this is no joke, but don't watch Steel Magnolias or any chick flicks while you're on this stuff, because you're going to start crying. You're going to be crying when you watch Steel Magnolias. You're going to be like, oh, Julia Roberts died and left that little baby. You're going to be crying. You're going to be a big emotional mess if you watch a sad movie, and you're going to do it in front of everyone. You're not going to care if people see you. But after you have some cheesecake and paint your toenails with your girlfriend, you're going to feel a lot better about the whole thing. You're going to feel better about having a good cry. And while some women out there might actually be thinking, oh, that would be nice, my guy could take this, he'll be a little more sensitive, you're going to get tired of it real fast. You might like it for a few days, but when your dude continually wants to talk about his feelings, and every time you say something to him, he stops and starts crying and tells you it really upsets him and hurts his feelings when you don't value him as a human being and you don't validate his emotions, it's going to get old real fast. You don't want another girlfriend, you probably want a boyfriend. So for you guys who are thinking about doing something like this, if you really think it through, it's pretty comical, and I can tell the people who come up with things like this have never tried to use Clomid for several weeks at a time, and they don't seem to understand how strong the emotional and psychological side effects of this substance are. It is a synthetic hormone, and it is a synthetic estrogen as far as brain receptors are concerned, and any effective dose of it is an enormous amount. You are literally going to be thinking and feeling like a menstruating woman when you do that. So why would you do that to yourself? So I have to say, to answer this question, the guy asking this is a really, really bad idea on multiple levels. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.